Hello team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prab, and today we're going to discuss about how to build information security strategy for an organization. In this video, we're going to discuss from scratch, how to build security strategy from scratch. What are the content need to be covered in the security strategy, because that is a foundation of our information security governance. This video is like a 20% PPT and 80% practical, because I'm going to share some templates, and based on the templates, I'm going to discuss this section. I already made a couple of videos in past on the CISO series. So if you're new to my channel, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future videos on a similar topic. So without wasting a time, let's start with the first part. And for more information about my profile, you can check my LinkedIn profile. Okay. So let's start with the first part. So first of all, we need to understand what is information security strategy. Information security strategy basically provide the roadmap, okay, for information and information infrastructure protection with the goal and objective to ensure the capability provide aligned to the business goals. Because if you want to start information security in the organization, it should be mapped with the business goals. So we have a step-by-step process. Okay, and it is defined in such a manner to support the business vision. So when we're talking about security strategy, it basically explains about the new security, okay, and how that basically contribute more effectively to enterprise goals. Live example, okay, so company is planning for a HR system example, okay. So see how the security strategy can helpful for the HR system. They will basically provide the necessary controls to how to protect the CVs, profiles, and all that. Okay, when the HR is going to access the application, how to ensure the security of an application. So that is covered in the security strategy. Security strategy is not something which is always fixed. In security strategy, we basically discuss the 5-year roadmap. Okay, these are the 5-year activity we need to implement in the organization. And sometimes in some companies, depending upon the dynamic need, it varies from 2 to 3 year of organization. Example, I have seen a lot of companies where they have a strategy for 1 year. It means in 1 year, we need to implement this activity in phases. Like they want a IDM, they want a cloud security, they want a security for HRMS. So this is how they basically create a strategy for a yearly basis. But ideally, if you go by the standard, it will be from 3 to 5 years. So that is basically the roadmap we define in the strategy. So when we're talking about the strategy is one of the first tasks of a CISO. Whenever a CISO joins the organization, first thing what he check is strategy, and if it's not, then he will basically build the strategy for an organization. And that is why security strategy is an essential tool for governance, because what is security, how the security works in the organization, and what are the roles and responsibility, organization structure, that is covered in the security strategy. Along with that, strategy is the first mission of the security governance. So that is the most important pointer we have. The question is how all these documents correlated. That is something we need to understand. So to understand better, let's move to the next slide. In order to understand how all the documents are correlated, so I have concluded everything in a hierarchy. Every organization is basically start with the vision and mission of an organization. When we're talking about the vision and mission, vision is basically all about why they exist, and mission is basically all about how they basically going to achieve the vision. Okay. So vision talk about why they exist, and mission talk about what they're going to do. So that is basically the vision and mission. Based on that, we have a multiple business process and requirements. Definitely, every company has a multiple business process, business units and everything, which is documented by the business owner. As a CISO, we will review that requirement, and based on that only we create an information security strategy. And based on the information security strategy, we create an information security policy, because strategy is a roadmap and security policy is the first document which is used to establish the governance in the organization. And based on the information security policy, we basically introduce the information security program. You can say like that, these two stuff is basically sub part of a strategy. Okay, just imagine if you want to introduce any kind of a system in the organization, program system in the organization, you need a policy, you need a law, right? Like example, we have a GST system in India. So it is backed and supported by the law. Same like law in every company is called as a policy. So any kind of a system you want to introduce in the organization, it should be backed and supported by the policy. And once you implement the program, then we basically introduce the metrics. The metrics are the success factor by which we measure the effectiveness of the program. Example like, as per the program, we need an incident management system in the organization. As per the program, we need a patch management system in the organization. As per the program, we need a risk management program in the organization. So how effectively risk is addressing the things, how effectively incident management addressing the things. So we need to introduce KPI and we need to introduce a KRI for that, which basically provide the independent report to the information security strategy committee, because committee is the one who build the strategy and committee is the combination of CISO and other business owners. So once you implement the program, it will be backed and supported by the effective metrics. So this is the hierarchy of the document we have that we need to follow. So one thing we need to understand how to define strategy. Okay, what is the factor which basically make to define strategy? So when we building a strategy for an organization, okay, we consider the business functions. What are the business functions we have? What are the legal regulatory? What are the third party services or third party offering, customer requirement, and also we talk about the maturity requirement. As I said, strategy steering committee must be set up first with the primary role of providing a necessary support to the project manager and making a decision about the objectives and resource and monitoring the progress toward the agreed objectives. So let's take one example. You are a CISO of an organization and you are building a cybersecurity strategy or information security strategy for one of the business process, which is called HR system. So HR service have a strategic objectives to develop some kind of a SaaS-based recruitment service solutions. So how the security is going to contribute to these objectives, like setting up the personal data protection controls, integrating the authentications, authorizations, providing a third-party provider for the security functions, log monitoring, okay, adopting a security architecture to integrate into their app-based services. So this is how the security objectives or security strategies achieving the business objectives. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand the business objectives, and based on the business objective only, we have a security supports. To understand better, I have taken one example here. So from that example, you get the better clarity. So this is one example we have. Now, one of the requirement of the company is they want to move the service on the cloud. They want to move all the on-prem service to the cloud. Now let's understand what is the strategy behind that. The business strategy is that they want an effective strategy by which they can able to move service on the cloud. Okay, it can be multiple reason, on demand, cost and all that. Now how the security strategy going to contribute in their initiatives? So we will introduce a cloud security strategy. We basically assess the vendor. We assess the security controls. Like example, they have decided to use AWS. So we will ask for the AWS SOC 2 report. We ask for their architecture report. We ask for the control reports, by which we get a better visibility. Getting a point? So this is how the security is basically going to support the business objective. So question is, what is the content of the security strategy? Okay, so this is basically the content of the information security strategy we have. Okay, so your first page should be have a company name. Okay, and it's very important to define who is preparing this document. Mostly it is prepared by the CISO. Author of the document is CISO. And then in the second page, we talk about the document management. Okay, who modified the document and all that, which is called as a version history. Then third, we talk about the table of content. Okay, what is the table of content we have? And fourth page onwards, we talk about the executive summary. We talk about the introduction. We talk about the background of strategy. We talk about the threat landscape. Okay, what is the context? What is the roles and responsibilities? What is the strategy objectives? Strategy initiatives. So these are the different type of strategy initiatives we have. Like I want a cloud security strategy. I want a identity access management strategy. I want a HRMS strategy. That is basically part of the strategy initiatives. And then finally, we have a summary implementation. Okay, summary implementation is basically all about the timeline. Okay, whatever the strategy initiatives we have, what is the time frame each strategy initiative taking, which is basically captured in the summary implementation. So for reference, let me explain you with the template. So team, this is basically the template we have. Now in this template, I discussed about first is basically define the version. I have given the date, which is called November 13, 2022. Here you can basically give the company name. Okay, so here you can basically give big company name. Example. Okay, so I given the strategy, information security strategy, and I define the year, which is basically the 5-year plan. Okay, then I will define who will create it. It is created by Prab Nair, and his designation is Chief Information Security Officer. And when I created in 2021, 28th August, 20th October. So it is very important to define the date of creation. Then I've talked about the table of content. So document management page number, executive summary, strategy summary, introduction, strategy proposals. Okay, then we have our roles and responsibilities, strategy, security initiatives, and summary implementation. Now, if you go down, we start with the document management. So as I said, this document is basically prepared by Prab Nair on this particular date, and CEO is basically the one who approved this document. So here you can see we have defined the things, which is called as a document management. If you go down, you can see the second thing is all about the executive summary. So example, like this is something, a security strategy I have created for the InfoSec company. So I'm giving an introduction about the company and why we need a security strategy in the company, why we need a security in the organization. So in the executive summary, you need to give the intent of the company, and also you need to address the intention of the security strategy. See, you can see, as with the company create, use, process information, enterprise confront ever-present growing risk of the data breach, elevated instance, relatively close, illustrate the threat is a real, okay, enterprise information controls are necessary, even though enterprises operate number of information security control, but the appointment of CISO. So we're giving an intention, like we need a security, we need to appoint CISO. So that is basically part of the introduction, which is basically called as an executive summary. This is the point. Okay, so executive summary is basically give the high level idea about that we are introducing a security and what is the purpose of introducing a information security. Then we're giving a strategy summary, like information security strategy, lay out the plan of next 3 to 5 years of giving a background information, and this is the high level. So here what I happen is I have taken the NIST CISF reference where I'm explaining in a sequence, like first we identify, okay, then we're going to protect, then we're going to detect, then we're going to respond, and then we're going to recover. And for each and every phase, we have a sub security initiatives. Like if I say identify, in identify, I need to first identify the policy. I want to identify governance. I want to build the policy. I need to build the governance. So this is basically part of a security initiative. So strategy summary is basically all about the high level summary of my strategy. What are the activities? What are the initiatives we're going to do in next 5 years or 3 years? So high level summary is very important for us to define. Then I'm giving a background, like you can add the background of the company and discuss the initiatives, like, what are the things for which we are building a security strategy. Like we have a cloud migration or HRMS system. We are migrating the service on the cloud. Okay. We're building a SaaS solutions. So we're giving a background here. It is very important to give the high level information about the background. Like example, InfoSec is basically moving to the new initiatives, and along with that, the new initiatives like cloud migration, we need to improve the risk management program. We need to build the strong controls. For that, we are basically introducing information security strategy. Threats are very important, risks are very important, and it is very important for addressing those things. So that is basically captured in the background. Then we have to give the context. It means desireness of the strategy. Okay, what is your desire? What is your intent? How are you going to protect that? So that need to be addressed in the context. Example, like, here I have given the clear background that why we introducing a security strategy for the function. Here I'm giving a high level context, like CISO will be appointed to protect the data in the cloud. We will build the cloud security strategy. So that is a high level context we are giving. Then I'm talking about the scope. Is the scope for the one branch, or this is a scope for the entire business? Is a scope for one particular unit? So it is very important to define the scope of the strategy. Okay, so this is just a sample I've given. And then I'm going to document the current threats which I've discovered, like ransomware threats, script kiddies, hacking. So these are the possible threats we have. So we need to give the threat definitions, because it is very important. Any kind of initiative you're introducing, it is very important for us to give them a clarity about the type of threats. So giving the threat descriptions here is very, very important. Then we move to the strategy proposal. In a strategy proposal, we give our vision first. Here is a sample of the content, like information security risk management is used all over the enterprise. Most people are aware of the risk the enterprise face. People know what their roles and responsibility. Okay, so this is good information security risk management. So I'm giving a sample wording of a strategy proposal, which is very important for us to understand. Okay, strategy proposal is very important. Okay, then based on a strategy proposal, I'm going to define the organization structure, like who does what. So you can basically document what is the role of senior management toward the information security, what is the role of a staff, what is the role of a CISO, what is the role of a clients, what is the role of a data custodian, what is the role of CIO, okay, for the security program. So roles and responsibility you can basically mention. And now we're going to discuss about the initiatives. So I have taken one sample here. So when we're talking about the security strategy, security initiatives, I have taken one example called identify. So one of the requirement is governance and compliance. So what is my strategy? The policy, procedure and process to manage and monitor the information, infosecurity and regulatory, legal and risk and operational requirement. That is the intent. What is the goal is information security policy are developed, documented, embedded across the infosecurity. And how to measure that, like sign off by the management and all the business units as well as department IT, HR will be aware of threats. So that is basically success criteria. So for every security initiatives, okay, we need to define the goal, we need to define the success criteria, and we need to define the intent. So here I have taken one example, okay, like identify. So if I go back to this part, identify. So one of the requirement of identify is basically like, I want to build the policy. So I give the intention clear, why we need a policy. What is the goal behind implementing a policy? And how you basically measure the success of the policy. So that is the one sample we have. Okay, that is just one example I gave. Another example you can take like, let's take an example called risk management. So InfoSec train, risk appetite is agreed clearly and understood by all the stakeholders. So the combined information security risk facing the InfoSec train is understood and processed to identify, manage risk appropriately in the group. What is the objective? InfoSec train risk appetite is determined, agreed and document. What is the approach? We can consult and work with the senior management. Okay. And what is a measure and success criteria? The InfoSec train has a clear understanding of its information security risk appetite, consistent process to identify, assess all the risks, know their accepted risk standards and everything. So this is how you can basically take the factor. Okay, this is how you can take the factors. Okay, so I just take one sample here, identify, where I talk about the governance functions and all that. Then I talk about the goals, and then I talk about the success criteria. So I've just taken one example here by which you can able to build the cybersecurity strategy for an organization. One more example I can take. Suppose we have one element called identity and access management. Now, what is the goal? InfoSec train want to manage the identity access rights of the InfoSec train resources. They want to automate the things. Okay, and it provide the business unit with the opportunity to verify their employee access rights. So that is the goal of the business. Now, what is the success criteria? Head of business units will able to carry out an annual certification of access right, reaction time, review access. So that is basically success criteria. You're getting my point. So this is how you can able to build the strategy. And then, so we have to add all these initiatives in this document, whatever the 5-year or 3-year initiatives we have, you can define their intentions, their goals, and how you success criteria. Because based on the success criteria, you will basically prepare the KRI and KPI to check whether it met the user objectives. Then we talk about the summary implementation. So this is how we have a summary implementation. Like I have taken an example, like this is the security initiatives we have, which is called as one of the functional governance. So one of the process is basically building a governance, which I've shared as a reference. Policy has been developed. When we're going to start 2022, funding and approval, yes, CISO has approved an InfoSec budget under which it's going to be implemented. The second initiative is building the IDM. Summary is adopting IDM and implementation start is 2023. Funding approval we need from CIO. So this is how the summary implementation you need to define. On a regular basis, you can review the strategy to make sure whether it met the user objective. So this is how you can basically create a security strategy for an organization. Okay. So do let me know how do you find this video. Okay. And I'm not going to share this document. Okay. Because I want you to create your own documents by which you need to build your thought process. One more important thing, whenever we're talking about the security strategy communication, avoid presenting a security initiative solely on the protection against the threats. Example like this is the strategy, reduce the data leakage from PC loss and now theft. So instead of that, give some kind of a positive approach, like facilitate the work on the move by ensuring the confidentiality of PC content. Okay, now one example is prohibit the unauthorized access of application. Instead of that, use a positive approach like protect a company confidential and important informations. Okay, so that is the thing. So it is a very high level I have discussed, but I'm planning to launch one cybersecurity program by next year where I'm going to discuss this in a more practical manner, more detailed manner, as we have a limited time. So I just give you the high level idea. So this is basically part of my next year CISO program, which I'm launching, in which I'm going to discuss in detail each and every element. So do let me know how do you find this video, and let me know, do you want some kind of similar content in future to make you better CISO? Okay. So this is all from my side, team, your brother, your friend, Prab Nair. And if you're new to my channel, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future videos on a similar topic. Thank you. Goodbye.